Hi there, I'm Sasha, and I'm a baker and trainer in New York City, and your host for this episode of Alt Baking Bootcamp with Well+Good. Today, we're gonna make a super fun, colorful, playful, bright pink frosted sugar cookie. It's completely vegan, and the dough is gluten-free, so it's a total crowd pleaser, and it's perfect for anyone with any type of food intolerance. All right, so starting with vegan butter and sugar. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my spatula, and we're just gonna go ahead and put the butter directly into the bowl. And we're gonna go ahead and just put cane sugar right in there. And now we're gonna cream for about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so you wanna cream this just until you have created a nice light and fluffy texture. So I'm gonna go for another minute. Okay, so it's really important that you take the time to do that for the appropriate amount of time, because you want to make sure that you're getting enough air in there to make your cookies light and fluffy. And the only way you're gonna do that is by creaming your sugar and your butter together. I'm gonna add some cashew milk, but any alternative milk that you have at home would work, and some vanilla. All right, and for my dry ingredients, I opted for an oat flour, and if you actually need them to be truly gluten-free, make sure you're looking at your package and that it reads certified gluten-free to ensure there's no cross-contamination. I've also got my leavener in here, and I'm just gonna dump this all in. I sifted all of my dry ingredients prior to putting them together, which I strongly recommend you doing as well, just to make sure there's no big clumps in there. I'm gonna start slow so my flour doesn't go everywhere, and then we'll speed it up. All right, so you can see already that the flour is totally absorbing all of that creamed butter and sugar. And I'm gonna add this last little bit of milk and vanilla to make sure that the dough is as pliable as I'm going to need it to be when I roll it out and do my little cookie cutouts. All right. All right, so as you can see, you want your dough, it's gonna be a little sticky, but as long as it sticks to itself, you're gonna be totally fine. We will wrap it up in some saran wrap and then put it in the fridge for 30 minutes minimum. And then we'll take it out, we'll roll it out, and we'll cut our cookies out of it. I'll be back and we can do that together. Okay, y'all, dough has been chilling, that's all set, and we are ready to roll. Let's just unpack this. We'll lightly flour our surface so that no sticking happens. And then I've got, this is technically a biscuit cutter, but I'm gonna use it as a cookie cutter today. And if you don't have a cutter at home, you can use a glass or a jar, and it'll make the same kind of circular cutout for you. All right, so I'm gonna pat this down into like a little bit of a flatter disc so that my rolling pin doesn't have to do as much work. And you might notice a little bit of cracking, and that's okay. It definitely will do that, but as you get thinner and flatter, the cracks will start to disappear. And the fun thing about this dough is that it's really malleable, so once we've rolled it out to our desired thickness, which I want like maybe 1/4 of an inch, we'll cut some shapes out, and then we can re-roll the dough and do it again. So that looks about right. All right, and I've got my pre-prepared sheet tray lined with parchment paper and sprayed with a little oil so the parchment paper doesn't move. And now I'm just gonna give this a little wiggle. It should get stuck, and then very, very delicately take it off and then place it right on your tray. You wanna make as many cookies as you can out of this. So I'm getting really, really close to the edges. And yeah, look at how pretty that is, the little ripples around. That's why I like using the biscuit cutter. All right, so once we've cut out as many cookies as we can from the initial rollout, then you can just literally bring it all back together, make a new ball of dough, and then we'll roll it out again. You don't want to crowd your tray too much because then the cookies will not get an even bake. Roll it out one last time. Great, okay, that's it. Now we have all this extra dough, and this dough is actually perfect for making a big batch and then baking off half of it and keeping the other half in your freezer, and it'll keep for at least 2 weeks. So when your sugar cookie craving strikes, you got something on hand. All right, my oven is preheating at 350. So we're gonna pop these into the oven, and then I'm gonna meet you back here so we can make our frosting. And I have a really, really fun trick for how to make that frosting pretty and pink. I'll see you in a second. I have baked my cookies off and I've let them cool completely. As you can see, I'm touching the tray. It's definitely cool. You wanna make sure that you let them cool because if there's any residual heat, your glaze is immediately gonna drip right off. And we're gonna work really hard just to make sure the frosting covers only the top of the cookie and doesn't drip over the sides. So, as promised, our glaze is going to be powdered sugar. And in this case, we're going to use some beet juice. I'm not talking about like a jar of beet juice. I'm talking the residual liquid from a can of beets. Beets are insanely good for you. They have lots of antioxidants and they're naturally high in sugar. So this is already gonna be really sweet and it's gonna give you that perfect frosting that you want for your cookies. So here I have about a half cup of powdered sugar. Dump it right into your bowl. And then the next part is a little tedious just because you don't want your glaze to be too thin. So I'm gonna start with 3 teaspoons of beet juice. We're gonna give it a whisk and we're gonna see what happens. And then you can adjust depending on how thin or thick your glaze starts to become. I can already tell that I'm gonna need some more. So let's add in another one. You kind of want to drip it over any of the dry areas. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at this color. Okay, so as you can see, that looks fantastic. And just to ensure very little drippage again, I'm gonna put it in the fridge for about 10 minutes, let it kind of harden, and then we'll use just a regular teaspoon and we'll get to frosting. I'll meet you back here in a second. All right, so I've just grabbed my frosting from the fridge. I'm giving it another quick little stir. It is the perfect consistency for frosting. So, this is not rocket science, all right? You grab your cookie, use the back of a spoon, and I'm just gonna start to spiral it out. And then as it reaches the edges, you're done. And look at how beautiful this color is. A little bit goes a long way. Okay, so they are nearly all perfect. I got a little heavy-handed with this one, but you know what? Who cares? And I'm just gonna dive right in. They're perfect, they're pink, they're pretty, they're colorful, they're playful, they're vegan and gluten-free. And they're so crunchy and they're so sweet. I'm gonna just hit all the notes. Very nostalgic. So for more delicious recipes just like this, subscribe to Well+Good. And if you wanna see something else from us, let us know in the comments and we'll whip it right up. See you next time.